Hey everyone, this is Casual Fanatic.
Film reviews without the shoes.
I'm Luca, your casual viewer.
And I'm Cayman, your fanatic. So how have you been?
I've been good, man. I've just been working, honestly. I am super pumped because it's now a 3-day weekend. Joys to the world.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I've just been working a lot, really. That's been it. A ton of work. How about you?
I mean, as I've been saying, I've actually had a little bit less work because I've been taking some leftover PTO this past month, but
Yeah.
that's all over now. So I'm gonna be back to my normal schedule. But yeah, I went and got some fireworks the other day for 4th of July.
Oh, exciting.
So that'll be exciting.
That's awesome. Wait, do you guys not have a fire ban?
What?
A fire ban?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Because I just know you live in a really wooded area. I don't think we do, but I know Dallas does.
Huh.
Yeah, so I was just wondering.
But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week. Like, so much has happened. Last weekend, Elena and I went horse riding.
Oh, sick.
So that was exciting. And then we also did a bike trail, and we ate breakfast by an airfield. I sent you some pictures of that.
Yeah, looked like a lot of fun.
And then we had a super fancy dinner downtown. And then on Monday night, Elena tested positive for COVID.
Oh, so, fun.
that was exciting.
Tough. That is tough. But you stayed negative, right?
Yeah. I've taken 2 tests this week and both of them were negative.
Well, that's good.
Been managing to stay enough distance away from her.
Yeah. Do you guys wear masks, or did you try doing that? Or were you just like, well, it's already...
We don't, like, not in the house. We just, like, don't, like, when we're talking to each other, we stand a good distance away.
Yeah.
And, like, whenever we're, like, sleeping, we'll just face opposite directions in bed.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you're still negative.
Yeah.
But she's doing good, yeah. Just the audience knows.
Yeah. She was not feeling very good for the first, like, 2 days, and then she's already feeling a lot better.
That's good. I did forget to say that yesterday I actually went out with a buddy of mine, and we went to a soccer field and just played soccer. And then after that, we went to a brewery where there was like a drag queen performing like some songs.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what we did yesterday. And then today I'm going on a 2-day birthday party today and tomorrow. So that should be kind of crazy.
Whose birthday?
It's a friend of mine from like undergrad. He's was a choir member.
Cool.
Yeah, and he actually lives in Texas, but came up here for his birthday because his family lives here. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, the place that we had dinner last weekend it had like a restaurant, a hotel, and a museum all in one building.
Yeah.
And so after we ate, we walked around the museum part for a bit, and I guess there was also like a drag show or something that night, because while we were walking around, we saw like a whole group of them just like walking around.
That's awesome. I love drag shows and drag queens. They're the best.
In sadder news also happened this week. I assume you heard about the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
It's quite unbelievable that people have to that people are losing their rights to their bodies, like their own bodies. Like, I don't know. It's incredibly upsetting, incredibly weird, and I feel for all the people that it is affecting.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. But on a more positive note, what are we going to be talking about today?
Something that we need: Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014. It was directed by James Gunn, and it's a pretty good movie.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I would agree with that. I actually think I've seen this before at one point, but it's been a while, so I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it had an estimated budget of $170 million. And do you want to try and guess the worldwide?
This thing's probably crazy. Like $1 billion.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It's a little under 800 million.
Oh, shit. Wow. I mean, makes sense, man. Like I remember the amount of like ads and trailers that I saw for this film.
Yeah.
I remember it. I also remember like everyone then like buying like the Groot dolls and shit like that.
Yeah.
Damn,
I
that's a
don't think
lot
I
of
ever
money.
really saw any toys for it. I know like a lot of people got
McDonald's. Yeah.
what are they called? The Funko Pops.
Yes, 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 yes.
People get Funko Pops for everything.
Yeah, true. I think that it was a very well made movie. It like was very light and fun, even in like quote unquote dark situations where they could have gone south with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think their casting was very good, and the only kind of like I saw was that here and there the CGI just wasn't it for me. But
Oh,
that's
really?
yeah, and that might have been like that opening scene where he was like on that planet. It just didn't look good to me.
We might have to talk more about that once we get into our detailed review. But
Yeah,
I guess maybe I didn't notice that.
yeah.
But yeah,
What about you?
I completely agree about the casting. It was I think everyone did an amazing job.
Yeah, even the
Even
voice
like
actors.
small parts. Yeah. Like I feel like there were some characters that had maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of screen time total, and they were still like good characters.
I agree. Yeah, like the character development and when they came in and how they were introduced was just very natural. I don't think there was
Yeah.
anyone in this movie where it was like forced on the viewer to be like, "Oh, this is that guy. Oh my god, here he is again. Oh, here he is again." Like it was very casual.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone was competing for screen time either. Like everyone
Yeah, I
knew
think
their
this.
place and it was very, fun to watch.
Yeah. Like obviously you could tell that Peter Quill is the main character, but it felt like a pretty like solid team up movie.
Yeah.
Like I think overall they've done a really good job with that. Like even like the same thing in the Avengers, like they really shared responsibility for everything.
Right. Yeah.
And like each character got a unique moment, and it was nice.
I agree. Every character had like their star moment, I would say.
Yeah.
It wasn't like hardcore focused on, one of them. Like in James Bond, it is purely about James Bond and then other people are helping him, right?
Yeah.
In this movie, it was like, yeah, sure, like there's a main character, but like throughout, I think at the very beginning it was all about him. And then when they started adding the team members, it started diluting into like the pool of people.
Mhm.
It was a nice a change of pace, I feel like.
All right, Luca, put on your silk robe and slip on those gloves because it's time to step into the boxing ring.
Oh boy, let's do it. I do you want to go first?
I can go first.
Go for it.
I'll say I think I'm gonna keep this one simple. I'll say when a ragtag band of heroes comes together.
Hey, I know where that's from.
A ragtag band of heroes comes together to save the galaxy from Ronan the Accuser. I'm gonna keep it at that.
Okay. A makeshift team called the Guardians of the Galaxy come together to defeat evil that is trying to use a stone to kill off civilizations.
All right, let's see what we got here. Light years from Earth, 26 years after being abducted, Peter Quill finds himself the prime target of a manhunt after discovering an orb wanted by Ronan the Accuser.
That's it?
Doesn't even mention any of the other Guardians, just
Wait,
Peter.
what? Okay, I don't think neither of us got that.
No.
Well,
I mean,
actually, I mentioned the stone.
it doesn't even say stone on here. It says orb, and the orb was just holding the stone.
Ugh, true.
I did specifically mention Ronan the Accuser.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit. Just because of that, I guess you can win it. Like that was so bad.
That's a bare victory.
That was so bad. That doesn't even.
Also, how is anyone supposed to? I mean, obviously these things are not meant for people to guess, but there was no way either of us were going to remember 26 years after being abducted.
Right.
I don't know how old he is.
Right. Hello. And I have some questions about the abducting, but I guess we can wait till the end for that.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break and then we can talk about your abduction question.
Let's do it.
All right, back from that fun.
Back from that fun.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I guess we could start with where it opened, like the opening scene. of
Okay.
that dingy ass hospital.
Yes.
My goodness. Okay, so for those that don't know, I work in the healthcare industry for architecture. So I work in hospitals. I do hospitals.
I do hospitals.
My God, dude, when they showed that first scene, I almost lost my shit. I was like, what is this? It looked like a World War II bunker that they makeshift into an hospital and forgot to change the light bulbs. Like, it was so depressing.
Yeah, well, it was in rural Missouri in the 1980s. So,
Jeez, Missouri needs to step it up. That was terrible. But it was a very touching scene with the little boy that we didn't know who the boy was and his mom. And like, I guess they included that scene because they just wanted us to know that his mom died. But
yeah, because his mom's death is like a very important like character sort of point for him.
why?
Well, because is like you see, he sort of is still just a little kid, and his mom died, and he was too sad at the point to hold her hand, and then obviously he regretted that, and
Right.
he's like obsessed with his Walkman cassette player that his mom gave him, and she also gives him a gift right before she died, and he doesn't open it until the end of the movie.
Yeah, he never
which
opens
is
it.
obviously years later.
Wow.
He's like, he's still like, no matter how long it's been, he's always thinking about his mom.
Okay, that makes sense, right? But what doesn't make sense to me, which kind of was like a little bit like ultra lame, was when the kid ran outside the hospital and like this giant ship is hovering above him and like picks him off the ground. I thought that was the lamest way to like frame an abduction of a child.
Why?
It was just so corny. It was just so bad. Like, kid runs outside in a misty field, and then all of a sudden, like, this UFO ship comes and picks him up. Like,
I mean, it pretty much is exactly what happened.
I know that's exactly what happens. That's lame. That's what I'm trying to say.
How would you stage the abduction?
I would have staged it that like some of the workers in the hospital were trying to like subdue him and like make him calm, but then it turns out that the abductors are actually the abductees. I mean the nurses and doctors are actually the abductees, and like bring him out back, and like the ship is like incognito, like covered, and they just walk in like this invisible thing, and then all of a sudden it like transforms in the ship and it flies off. That would have been sick.
I don't think that would have made a whole lot of sense for those characters though, because the group that abducts him are like space mercenaries.
Yeah, they're kind of
like,
idiots though. They're idiots. Like they could have. That's
what I'm saying. Like they're not trying to be in disguise. They're just like, we're gonna go and grab this kid and leave. Like they don't care about being sneaky.
Like maybe that's the thing. Like we didn't see a lot of them in the movie, and I feel like that would have been a great group of people because they were made out to be like idiot mercenaries. That they could have really played on that at the very start of the movie, and then that would have also given us a hint as to his character and why he is the way he is throughout, because he's also kind of goofy and kind of an idiot and just kind of goes for it and doesn't really care. I feel like it was very held back of them to just scoop him up with their giant ship and call it a day.
No, didn't bother me that much. But
yeah,
one thing I did like is the introduction of Ronan, because he has this amazing scene where he like awakens out of this like pool of black goo, and then he's like yelling at a guy and ends up smashing his head with a giant hammer.
Yeah, like twisting it. Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so was like, that the way that he sleeps, you think? Or
I think so. It didn't look like I mean, they don't really explain it, but I'm assuming that he either it's like some. Well, no, I don't think it's like a regeneration thing, because it didn't seem like he was like had to heal. I think he just sleeps like that.
Okay. Yeah, because that's kind of like the vibe I got from it. It was like his bedroom and like, I don't know. Yeah.
And there's like this whole ritual where he wakes up and then these like old guys like throw powder on him and put his war paint on his face and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, it was kind of confusing just seeing all that without context. But I mean, I guess that's what it is. Because I still don't know exactly who he is or what he does. Like, I have no idea like what this guy's about, why he has his, like how he can wield the stone, and like where, like what is he?
Really well, he is they go over it briefly, but so Xandar, which is the planet with all of the blue and yellow guys, and the Kree homeworld that I can't remember the name of, they have like a not a pact, a treaty, I think is that's the word they used.
That's the word.
But they apparently they had like a big war in the past, and then they wrote a treaty that said, hey, we're not going to fight each other anymore. But Ronan is like a Kree extremist, and so he doesn't care about the treaty. He wants to destroy Xandar because of how many of his fellow Kree people they killed during the war.
Okay. I mean,
so he's just out for revenge.
That makes sense. I just don't know how he got all that power. Like, is he of royalty, you think? Or is this just like some random dude that was like, fuck this shit, I'm out, I'm gonna kill everyone I want to?
Yeah, I don't know how he got as much power as he has. Maybe he was like, during the war he already had quite a bit of power, like he was like a general or admiral or whatever, and then after the treaty, like some people just chose to follow him instead.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they do talk about all of that stuff in the movie, but it's not like a sit down, let me tell you who Ronan is. It's just like you have to kind of catch it through like different conversations here and there.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay. He was an interesting character though. Like, I don't think for a bad guy he was very scary, you know, like because he was like being kind of commanded by what's that guy's name?
Thanos.
By Thanos, yeah. He was a little bitch of Thanos, and Thanos also called him little kid or something like that.
At the end, he was like trying to do his own thing, and he was like, fuck you, Thanos, I'm gonna destroy Xandar myself, I don't need you.
Yeah, and then he was like, I'm coming for you next, which was badass. That was badass.
Yeah, and you can see how like the actual like amount of strength that he has, because he was able to hold the Infinity Stone for like 5 whole seconds before he slammed it into the side of his hammer.
Yeah. And does that, do you think that just comes with being like an alien thing or what?
I think it's just a power thing. Like, you just obviously, for pretty much for most people in the galaxy, touching an Infinity Stone will immediately kill you. The same way that it did with Karina in the Collector's place.
Yeah.
So like when she grabbed it, she died almost immediately.
Yeah, she got fucking railed by that stone. Her body blew up.
But
like,
because Ronan is significantly stronger than she is, he was able to hold on to it a little bit longer and still survive. But I think if he hadn't put it in his hammer and just continued holding it, he also would have blown up.
Okay. So like no being can just hold the stones. They have to have like some kind of median between them. Like, he had his axe, and then I know at one point there are rings, right? Not in this movie.
There's even then there's still not any rings.
There are no rings ever?
No.
Oh wait, it's the glove thing, right?
Yeah,
everyone knows about it. All the kids have it. The gauntlet. Yeah, so like there's always been this median, right? Like, there's not just one guy that could just hold this fucking stone and go fucking kill people, right?
Well, I think Thanos is strong enough to just hold a stone.
Really? And why is Thanos that strong? Well, like, why is he like the big guy that's like, oh, the most powerful being, whatever? Why him? What about him?
What do you mean, what about him? Like, what
like,
makes
why
him so
is
strong?
he so strong? Yeah, like, is he just of an ancient civilization that like can wield it, or what?
I don't know. I think it is a specific thing about him, and they haven't really explored it too much, and I don't know if they're going to. But even the race that Thanos belongs to, like, he's like big purple guy, but almost no one else on his planet was big purple people. Like, that's just him.
Weird.
Everyone else on the planet just looked like pretty much looked like humans.
What the fuck is with him?
And so how it is in the comics is Thanos is like a mixed person. Like, he's the planet that he lives on is like human looking people, but then there's also another race of creatures called deviants. and he is like a mixture of Titan and Deviant. And so that's why he looks all weird, and also why he's stronger than everyone else.
Interesting. So, I mean, are the deviants large, or like where does he get his size from?
Yes. Yeah, the Deviants are pretty big.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
they're not like a one, like they can kind of shapeshift a little bit. So they're not, they can be big, but they can also be small.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Well, that
Yeah,
answers that question.
yeah, but like I said, that's like a comic book explanation. They haven't really discussed Thanos's specific heritage in the movies,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they will, but we'll see.
We will see. Okay. Yeah. So when I was talking earlier about the CGI, it was when he went to that one planet to retrieve the well, we don't know, it's a stone at that point, the orb.
Yeah.
The CGI in that whole time, it was just like weird and blurry the whole time, except for when he like, got the stone out and was in that little cave area. It was better there, but I literally wrote down, I said CGI is a little blurry. And I feel like at that point in time, there were CGI movies out already that were just like really good quality. And this one just wasn't it for me.
I don't know. It didn't look blurry to me.
Really?
Was it like background stuff? Like maybe it was just like out of focus on purpose?
I don't know. But
like it could have just been like a shallow depth of field kind of a thing.
I don't know, but it was enough for me to like think about it and write it down. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't go into it being like, I'm looking at the CGI to make sure. No, it was like I was watching it and then I was like, wait, what? Like this looks kind of bad. That's kind of what happened in my head.
All right.
But yeah, it was the very beginning when he was on that planet and he was like, walking through that storm with his little mask on, and like it gave the surrounding look when he passed the camera, and it was just kind of not the best. Because I focus a lot. Like I love when movies have a great like CGI surrounding, like you can see the space. I love that.
Yeah.
But it was just not good.
All right.
Yeah. But I did like that scene. Sorry.
Yeah. Because obviously in the beginning they like try and make it seem all serious, and he lands on this planet, he's like looking around, and he had that cool device that like projected like
the past,
what the planet used to look like before it was all destroyed.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
I don't really know what the purpose of that would be, but
I don't either. Yeah, true. I mean, like, why did he use? I mean, I guess he could have used it to like locate if he knew what the building used to look like.
Yeah, that could be. It's like because everything is ruins now, so you're like, oh well, I know it's in this building, but I don't know how to find this building and all of this rubble.
Exactly. That's kind of what I thought. And then like when he was using it, and he was like, obviously listening to his music, his cassette tape. Wow. And like those little creatures were running at him, and he like kicked him, and then he grabbed one and then used it as a mic the whole time. I thought that was hilarious.
It like starts off super serious, and then the second he gets into that building, he like presses play on his on his recorder, and he like immediately starts dancing all around the place.
Yeah, and I think that's so and like light.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. I thought it was really funny.
And while we're talking about the cassette player, the soundtrack for this movie is A+.
Oh yeah,
it was all like super popular music from the 70s and 80s. Which makes sense because that's when he was on Earth, and so he wouldn't have any music newer than that.
Right. I wonder how long it took them to put that playlist together. It's like we have to pick these specific songs and then get all the rights and all that stuff,
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
But they chose some great songs.
Yeah, even Volume 2 had some bangers in it. Like when the movie ended, bangers.
Yeah. Another thing, since we were talking about like we said earlier, I think everyone did a good job, but specifically Dave Bautista as Drax was, I think, my favorite person in the whole movie.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
I just think he absolutely nailed the performance. He like his comedic timing was near flawless, and he was like able to also bring in the more somber moments. Like he is a very good dramatic actor as well, and he just like his range is ginormous. And I don't know if like obviously there's a bit of performance history because he was in the WWE before. But and so that's another thing, is like he brings the physicality as well, and so he can do action, he can do funny, he can do serious. Like
true. Yeah,
I just felt like there was such a a wide combination of emotions in Drax, and he nailed every single one of them.
That's fair. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, he was definitely one of the characters that I enjoyed watching the most when he came up. But I also I want to also give props to Groot, because like having basically no lines in the movie,
Yeah.
and being able to build that emotional connection with the viewers, and like like he's hilarious. He's a funny tree or whatever his person is, Groot. The
Yeah.
Groot people.
That was Vin Diesel.
Yeah, yeah. Like being able to do that without any lines is commendable for sure.
Yeah, I think it also, a lot of it sort of requires the back and forth, like bouncing off with him and Rocket.
Yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't have been as strong if it was just Groot by himself.
Yeah. Who was the actor for Rocket?
Bradley Cooper.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that they did very good with each other.
Yeah.
But I agree. It had to, obviously incorporate someone that had a voice.
Right. Another just like small funny moment that I remember is when, like, right after they escape the prison and they like go to get all their stuff, and there's a small moment where they're getting their clothes out, and Rocket says that they crumpled up his pants, but they folded quills.
Yeah, yeah. He was like, they crumpled my pants and they folded yours.
I'm like, that's rude.
Yeah. And like that was something with him that happened throughout the whole movie. Like you could tell he was very insecure.
Yeah.
And everything that he did like kind of played on that. Like when he got drunk and wanted to fight everyone, because I mean they were obviously calling him mean names. So
right.
I understand it. But it was one of those things that they were definitely pushing in this movie, was that character and that character development.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is like I'm obviously that's sort of what brings the entire group together, is like, yes, they're all like playful and whatever, we're going to be happy, but they do have moments where you see that all of them have like a very traumatic past. Drax's family got murdered. Groot is literally the last of his species. Rocket got experimented on. Gamora was tortured by Thanos, and freaking Peter's mom died, and then he was immediately abducted by aliens.
By quote unquote. Yeah. Wait, so was she actually tortured by Thanos?
They talk about it more in the next Guardians movie, but I mean, also the entire reason they're with Thanos is because Thanos killed their families. Like,
well, why
Gamora,
keep them around? What was Thanos's mindset there? I mean, does he just want daughters or like what?
Yeah, just wanted, he saw something in them and he was like, hey, you're special. You could probably help me take over the universe. So
okay.
decided to train them.
Damn, that's tough. What I also thought was cool was when they were, you could probably explain the placement of this better, but they were in the ship and they were flying to that one planet, and it was the head of the ancient celestial being.
Yes. Nowhere.
Yeah. Amazing. That was so cool. That was where the CGI really kicked in. Like that was fucking sick.
Yeah. Like, and they were talking about how it is like a haven for criminals, because obviously because it is the severed head of a celestial. They were saying like back in the day, a bunch of miners got sent there to like collect like spinal fluid and bones, and brain tissue and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they were still doing it when we saw the inside of it, but like, it just made me think like, I wish that we could see those creatures, like at least one of them. Cause if that was the head, or like what cut off its head
in, when the Collector is explaining the Infinity Stones, you remember he shows that little video of a Celestial with the like giant staff, and he shows the Power Stone and he slams it on the ground and the entire planet gets wiped out. That giant creature was also a Celestial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, so do they ever explain like how they died and like how that guy got killed and how his stone was taken away? That's probably too much. They don't explain how the stone ended up where it was at the beginning of the movie. Okay. But things just happen. Yeah. Can't explain everything, I guess. Yeah. But I wanted to go like a little further with that. Whenever they flew into the skull and like were walking around, I wrote down that the vibe that I got from the interior there of like the skull, it reminded me of Meow Wolf so much. Like
I don't know what that is.
Meow Wolf?
No clue.
No clue. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Meow Wolf is like this it's more of like an art, like self-guided art finding mystery thing where like here in Denver we have one and it's about 5 stories and each floor is like a different galaxy area and it looks just like the inside of the skull. Like fantastic detail, absolutely amazing. And like there are actors that are walking around and they're like, you know, like talking like their quote unquote language. It's unbelievable. And it reminded me exactly of Meow Wolf. I can probably send you a picture here because I was there recently.
Interesting.
I highly recommend if you and Elena ever come down and visit, we are totally going there.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's the okay, I just looked it up. It's the people that did Omega Mart.
No idea.
Well, see, I recognize Omega Mart, but I don't recognize Meow Wolf. But
yeah, I mean, they have their first one was in New Mexico, and that's the first one I went to. And then they have some in LA. They have 2 coming up.
The one in New Mexico is called the House of Eternal Return.
Yeah, that one was sick. So cool.
Omega Mart is in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And then the one in Denver is called Convergence Station.
Yeah, it's like a melting pot of it's insane. But that's what it reminded me of that because when you go into these things, have you been in one?
No.
The like attention to detail is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I also have never been to one. So
true. I mean, if you would have,
I only know about Omega Mart like tangentially because I've heard people talking about it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like when I saw that scene, I knew what it felt like to walk in that because I've been in that. If that makes sense. Like in Meow Wolf, you have that like outer worldly experience of like you're on a different planet kind of thing.
I gotcha.
If you buy into it, of course.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would love to visit one of those installations, but
well, you got a place here if you ever want to go. Let me know.
Yeah.
I wrote here. Oh, that one. Just a quick mention and shout out to the Cherry Bomb song. Every time that shit comes on, it's a fucking jam. And it fits so well to like those scenes of like just being a badass or just like crazy shit going on.
Yeah, a great song. I mean, like I said, all of them are great songs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cherry Bomb is also a great song.
Yeah.
I think I only had one negative in the entire movie.
Oh, what was that?
And it was when they get chased out of nowhere and then Gamora's ship gets blown up and she's out floating in space and Peter goes to save her and then he like takes off his mask and puts it on her and she's safe and then you can like see his skin like freeze over a little bit.
Yeah.
And and then like his eyes get really bloodshot and then like Yondu saves them both at the last second and then when they get inside of Yondu's ship he's like completely recovered. And I feel like the skin defrosting I could get past because like obviously I don't really know what happens to a person just out in the vacuum of space. So
what you don't, dude?
But the bloodshot eyes is what really got me. That it was like his right before they got saved, like his eyes looked like they were about to explode. And then they get inside the ship and it's just immediately better. And I was like, nah, brah, he would be blind for at least a couple days.
Yeah. Or at least still have bloodshot eyes.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, but I mean, it makes sense. I honestly didn't know exactly what was going on. At that point, like because space is a vacuum and the temperatures in space are extremely fucking cold.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. He would have turned into a stone within seconds. Absolutely. Within seconds, you are fully frozen. You're dead.
Well, I think there's a, I don't know how they've tested it, but I know there are estimates of how long you can survive in space.
Really?
Yeah.
They probably put animals out there and did some animal testing. But as far as I know is that like when you are in like a shadowy area of space, it's like extremely cold. And then when you go out of the shadow within like a sun rays, you're basically just fried.
Yeah.
Because there's no atmosphere to stop the rays and the heat. But yeah, I totally agree. Now that you mention it.
All right. So this says without a spacesuit, you would lose consciousness in 15 seconds and you would die after 90. So you can survive a minute and a half.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Longest minute and a half in your life for sure.
Oh yeah, no, it would be excruciating for that minute and a half. Well, I guess until you lose consciousness and then you wouldn't feel it anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
So 15 seconds of
seconds,
yeah.
That's fucking pain. Like imagine like your whole body just insta freeze.
Yeah.
And you're awake for it.
Or it'd be like one side of your body is like super super cold and then the other side is super super hot because there's like you're close to a star.
That's unreal. I don't even want to imagine that, but yeah, like you said, they maybe that beam that carried them back was like, I don't know, had like regenerative powers or fuck if I know. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. They should have done something else with that. I feel like the bloodshot eyes was a little bit of a stretch. Even like, I feel like they could have gotten rid of that. They could have just left it at the permafrost. They didn't need his eyes to look all crazy and like, looking as if he's going blind, like you said. But it is what it is.
Yeah. But it was a touching scene because obviously like they're out there and Rocket's like, there's nothing we can do to save her. Like it sucks that she's dead, but we got to go. And then he's like, nah. And he like jumps out of his spaceship in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And then what did he say when he was with her in the ship? He said something around the lines of like, I saw something in you and I needed to go save it. Something like that. And then he made a joke, right?
I don't remember. That sounds.
Yeah. He made like a joke. He was like, don't worry. I know it's really impressive. Something like that. He was like boasting and she was like, oh, like she rolled her eyes and like, then they changed the camera and they're like, all the guys were like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. The Ravagers.
Yeah. The kidnappers. So do you think all those guys are kidnapped or what? Because I guess this is a good leeway into my question, although my question is literally the last thing that I wrote down. Who is his dad?
Right. Okay. So that's why I don't think all of them are kidnapped. I think some of them just decided to join up because, I mean, the same reason that people on Earth join gangs, you just like don't have any, or you feel like you don't have any legitimate skills, or like you get raised in a certain kind of neighborhood and crime just becomes what you do. And so like in the beginning, when his mom is on her deathbed and she's talking about like, oh, you remind me of your dad or whatever. And she said like he was, I think she said like composed out of pure light or something like that.
Yeah.
And then at the very, very end of the movie, you see as the Ravagers are flying away, they're like, I guess it's a good thing we didn't deliver him to his dad like we were hired to do.
Right. And that confused me like a lot. Who is his dad? And don't like the Ravagers want to get paid? Wouldn't they have gotten paid when they brought him to the dad? I'm just so confused.
Yeah. Well, and so I think because they tease Yondu it a couple times throughout the movie that he's like got a soft spot. And so you sort of get the idea that like they were hired to kidnap him and take him to his dad. But then while they were transporting him, Yondu got attached to him. And so it was like, no, I don't want to let this kid go. I want him to hang out with us.
Mm.
And so he decided to raise him himself.
Interesting. Okay. Well, who is the dad?
You want to know right now or you want to find out later?
I want to know right now.
Okay.
I don't want to wait.
His dad is...
What?
And so he has, and because he...
Bro, what?
It's a little different in the movies than in the comics, but...
Okay. And
but yeah,
went to Earth.
Right.
And fucked this one lady.
Yeah. So he... and fell in love with Peter's mom and then had a baby and then he fucked off back to outer space.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
At the end, there's that scene where he grabs the Power Stone from Ronan and you see it like starts to tear him apart and then the other Guardians like hold hands and so they're like sharing the power amongst them. And then after that whole debacle and they scan Peter and they tell him, they're like, hey, there's some not human DNA inside of you. And we've never seen DNA like this before, but like something is different about you. And they theorize like that's why he was able to hold the Power Stone so long.
But I just want to know, like, do you think he'll ever, or does he ever get like superpowers from that?
Sort of.
like maybe faster healing or what? And does he ever go see his dad? Does he ever go figure that out, or is it just DJ's only?
No, there's a whole, and that's pretty much what Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is about his dad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never seen it, so I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll watch it.
Maybe. Well, okay. That was a big question that I had with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 question marks. I was very confused. I was like, who the fuck is his dad that it deliver him to? I was like, how fucked up is that?
Yeah.
I did like the fact that no one, like alien wise, knew what dancing was. And when he had the Infinity Stone, he was gonna like destroy that planet. He was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I think it was sort of a mixture. There were like some people that like didn't understand dancing, and then like Gamora understands dancing. She just refused to do it.
Right. But I mean, what's his name? The evil guy that dies?
Ronan.
Ronan had no idea what the fuck he was doing. And I feel like it like almost worked like magic on him, because he was just like, I feel like it calmed him down like in a weird way. I don't know.
I just think it was a funny distraction.
Just full confusion. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And he told him that too, like, oh, I'm just a distraction. And then they like looked to the side and his team was there.
And that was right after Groot sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
That was a amazing, beautiful scene. And even
beautiful.
Like because earlier when they first get onto the Dark Aster, I think is the name of Ronan's ship, and it's like pitch black, and then Groot lets out like fireflies. That was a beautiful moment.
No, I don't think those were fireflies. I think those were flowers that like lit up.
I mean, that makes more sense, because I don't think he can like create animal life. So it was like some sort of glowing plant thing.
Glowing flower.
Yeah. But that was beautiful. And then when the ship is crashing, he like cocoons everyone inside of himself,
his own body.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The little
Rocket.
Speedy? No, Rocket. Fuck. That's close. He was like, no, Groot, don't do it. You're gonna kill yourself. And I was like, Groot, don't do it. And that came right after like one of like, I feel like it was one of Groot's most like funny scenes. And it was when like he spiked all of those people like on one of his like limbs.
Oh yeah.
And started like smashing them against like the walls. And then like he finished killing them. He like looked around and he gave him like his like Groot smile.
Yeah.
I fucking died. That was probably like maybe one of the best parts of the movie for me. Just like him turning around and smiling. I thought that was just hilarious.
Yeah, I
actually laughed out loud.
That was funny.
I LOL'd. Yeah. But then I also loved that Rocket at the end, like, I don't know how he knew, or like if Groot told him at one point, but like he took one of Groot's like, sticks and put him in a pot.
Yeah.
And was growing him back.
Yeah.
So very cute.
Another scene thing that I thought was funny is right when Peter gives them the big speech, and he is like, we've got to save everyone, and telling them that they need to go attack Ronan, and Rocket's like, man, you're literally asking us to go and die. And he's like, yeah, I guess I am. And then there's like that huge moment and everyone starts standing up. And then when Rocket finally stands up, he's like, there, you happy? I'm standing. Now we're all a bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
Yeah. Rocket was a good character, man. He was like the perfect stubborn balance between him and Groot. Groot was like, yeah, let me just help everyone. And him was like, oh, fuck you guys. I hate you. Let me kill you. I'm going to kill you guys after we finish this shit.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was very good. But besides that, I'm all out of notes.
I've got a couple more things.
I have one more note, but it's like it would be taking us way back.
Okay.
And it was when the evil ship was like trying to go and land, and then all of like their defense fighter pilots linked up and like made that giant shield.
That was pretty dope.
/ propulsion. Yeah. I mean, that was like, what a good idea.
Yeah.
Like I could actually see that in the future being a thing of like, of warfare, where like they link and all of a sudden make like this blanket of defense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
Another thing that I liked was, since I had already said earlier, I think Drax was my favorite character, but from a performance perspective, I think my second favorite would have to go to Nebula. I just felt like it seemed like, because Karen Gillan is the actor who plays Nebula, but she just seemed like she was having so much fun the entire time. Like every scene she's in, she's just like yelling at the top of her lungs and like stomping around. It was just like, it was so funny. It felt like it would have been really fun to do that.
Really?
Yeah. It just seemed like she was having a good time on set.
I mean, she was definitely having a good time on set, but I don't think she stood out to me that much, quite honestly. I mean, she did her role. She played it very well, but you know, she also didn't get like a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
Which I feel like they could have done better with, like at the end when she took the ship, like where did she go off to? That's kind of the last time we see her.
Yeah, it is hard to, like, when you have so many characters, obviously you can't give all of them a bunch of screen time.
Right. I mean, but they're all like together most of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like individual.
I think they focused more on like the actual Guardians of the Galaxy, and because Nebula is not one of them, she had a little bit less screen time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get it, but like they could have given her some more when like she jumped on the ship at the very end and like pulled the guy out of the cockpit, and then like where did she go?
Off.
Like no one knows.
Off into the galaxy. She just escaped.
Yeah, right. I mean, she just disappears, and I feel like
live to fight
after
another day.
Like her sister and her fighting. Say what?
I said live to fight another day.
True, but after like that heart-to-heart moment with like her and her sister, like we know he's a bad guy, like don't help him, and like then like she's like fuck you, cuts off her own hand and like jumps on the ship and just leaves and like disappears. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was like the best way to get rid of her.
Well, I mean, would you rather her actually get killed?
No, I would want to see her like almost like having low-key helped, but like still saying fuck you and then fucking off.
Yeah, I think she's too angry to help, because I mean,
you
like,
think so?
Well, like maybe. I was saying earlier, like when you grow up being forced to fight your sister and then she always beats you and you get tortured as a result of that, like she has a lot of pent up anger against everyone.
Yeah, but you can't have that anger against your sister because you guys are in it together. Like you guys are both getting fucked up.
But it wasn't both of them
one
getting fucked up.
Other,
it was mostly her getting fucked up.
Okay, I mean fair, but I don't know, man. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Obviously,
they explore their relationship a lot more in the second film as well.
Okay. So we see her again at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like maybe we should have made this a double feature, because I feel like a lot of your confusion in this film is answered in the next film.
Yeah, maybe when we do the next one, it's like, you know, realization podcast.
He'll just be like,
I understand.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, the whole oh.
Yeah. Oh, and then my one last thing is freaking Yondu's arrow is just amazing. And I felt like
say that again?
Yondu's arrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I felt they like perfectly like narrative setup for it, because there's 3 arrow scenes in the movie, and the first 2 are set up. So you have like I think the first time is when he's threatening that shopkeeper on Xandar.
Yeah.
And he like puts it up to his face, and then like after just like takes it back and walks out. And then the second time, I think, is when he like right after he saves Quill and Gamora, he brings the arrow up to Peter's neck and like threatens to kill him.
Right.
And then doesn't do anything. But then the third time is when he's out in the field and all of those soldiers are around, and he just completely destroys all of them.
Yeah, and like the ship's hovering in the air, and then all of a sudden it all also falls out of the sky and just blows up.
Yeah.
Because it's a little arrow. Yeah.
So I thought it was like,
I feel like
perfect buildup of like, you get a tease and then you get another tease and then you finally get the payoff, and it's like, ooh, yeah, that was worth it.
True. So is that arrow part of his body, or
no, it's just a piece of technology?
Okay, so he's wearing a helmet.
What do you mean?
Because every time he would start whistling, his head would start glowing.
Oh yeah. Not really, not really a helmet. I think it's like implanted onto his head. But
yeah, that's why I was like, so was it a part of his body at that point?
The implant is, but the arrow isn't. Like, it's not like it's just like a remote control. Like his mohawk thing controls the arrow, but because it's attached to his brain, only he can control the arrow.
Interesting. So you would consider something only being part of you if it's physically attached, because technically, like, he was whistling and like thinking, and like the arrow was doing what he was thinking.
Yeah, but I mean,
So I
like,
mean,
I
is that
like
not an extension of his body?
I can set up a program to voice control my computer, but I wouldn't say that my computer is part of my body.
But you had to set that up. Like, I don't think that he had to set up.
Well, I mean,
put
he had
in
to
this thing
set up
that
the
said-
implant.
Oh, you think he did that?
Well, even if he didn't, like that, it wasn't like he was born that way. Like he purchased an item and had it surgically put onto his body.
Oh, I mean, I don't know that part. I thought that was just like a part of him, and like they get grown with like they get born with like a little an arrow, and I don't know.
Nah, I think that was something that got added later in life. I don't think he was born that way.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of him, I also liked that he gave him the wrong orb, and then like he opened it and he started laughing when he saw the troll doll in there.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a good way to
Yeah, because that's how you can like
kind
you
of
can
drama.
see that even though he has to act tough around his crew, but he really does care about Peter. And so seeing that
exactly
he played a prank on him, he's like, well, I guess he got me this time.
exactly that's exactly how I felt about that. Yeah, they have a good relationship for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. I thought
That's
I
all
really,
I got too.
I really like this movie.
I did too. Do you like the second one as much, or
Well, I'd say no. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just not it doesn't feel quite as fresh. And
okay?
I didn't originally have it on our list even because I felt like a lot of the stuff in that movie isn't really necessary to the overall like Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I might add it to our list now since we have already talked about it so much.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to, honestly. I can just go back and watch it myself, and
Yeah, I mean, you could
know.
also if you just felt like watching it in your free time.
yeah, because if we got a schedule, bro, we got to stick to our schedule.
All right.
And if it's not like if in your opinion it's not like impactful, then there's no point.
I think it's more impactful on a character level because it like
Okay.
obviously it resolves a lot of issues with like you see Peter having to deal with his daddy issues, and you get like explore the relationship between Nebula and Gamora and them dealing with their daddy issues with Thanos. And so it's like there's sort of this parallel between everyone sort of going through this
Daddy issue phase.
right, yeah. And so it impacts their character because they're obviously different people coming out of the second movie than going into it. But as far as everything else happening in the universe, it doesn't really have any major effects.
I got you. Okay. Well, we don't have to. I mean,
But yeah, I definitely
I'll watch it.
yeah, I think you
Okay.
should.
Well, that was the Guardian of the Galaxy. Do we have any trivia regarding this film?
We've got some trivia.
Let's go.
All right, our first one here is that Vin Diesel recorded all of his lines in several different languages, including Russian, Mandarin, Spanish, Portuguese, German, and French, so that they could all
What?
use his real voice around the world.
No way.
So you can
That's really cool.
yeah, you can go on YouTube and find like little clips of him recording "I am Groot" in like 10 different languages.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's a good way to do it. I mean, you have like 4 lines.
Yeah.
Well, 2. Different inflections. So I am Groot. I am Groot.
Yeah, I
And
think
then he has like at the very end, we are Groot. And I was like,
I think I saw something else that said he recorded "I am Groot" like hundreds of times altogether.
wow. To get the right one.
Yeah, and also because like Groot talks like at least 20 different times throughout the movie. And so
Yeah.
like even though he's saying the same thing, you can't just like replay the same recording. So he has to say it slightly differently each time.
Right. Yeah. And then apparently Rocket can understand him,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Well, they've been together a long time.
Yeah, but still.
All right, our next piece here is also about Groot. It says, according to Vin Diesel, his performance as Groot helped him through a dark time in his life. He was dealing with the loss of his best friend and Fast and Furious co-star Paul Walker. And he said,
Oh,
it was the first time that I came back to dealing with human beings after dealing with death. And so playing a character who celebrates life in the way that Groot does was very nice.
wow. That is beautiful. Wow. Yeah, I remember when Paul Walker passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. That's like a beautiful way to put it. Good for him. Good
Yeah.
role.
And also, Vin Diesel recorded all of his lines while wearing stilts so that he could get a sense of how large Groot was.
You're fucking kidding me. There's no way.
Yeah.
What? Why? That's just next level weird. I wish I could see that. Oh my God.
Bro, that shit's on YouTube.
That's unbelievable. They had to have done that just to like get more, like, I don't know, get more interest. There's no way. That's crazy.
Our next fact here is the collector's residence in the film is obviously the space station Nowhere, but in the comics, Nowhere is actually the base of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Do we know that in this movie, or does that come down later in the road?
No, it's not in the movies. That's just a comic thing.
Oh, okay. Cool.
James Gunn, the director, his brother Sean Gunn did the on-set acting for Rocket and improvised the line, "A bunch of jackasses standing in a circle."
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's good. I love that. Bro, improvisations in like movies sometimes really slaps.
Yeah.
Like when it's just like the actor all of a sudden thinks of this one thing that he has to say because it just comes over him.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I honestly, Sean Gunn is a treasure to these films. I highly suggest like watching some behind the scenes stuff because because obviously Bradley Cooper is not on set every day. He like spent some time in a recording studio and did all of his lines. And so while they're filming, Sean Gunn wears like a little like mocap suit kind of thing, and you can see him just like squatting down and like walking around next to everyone so that they like have someone to interact with while they're filming.
What?
And so like you'll see like everyone else in full makeup and then like little scrouched down Sean Gunn like walking around and giving them the lines so that they can like have dialogue and interact, and they have good like eye lines. And then they'll in post-production they just take Sean Gunn out and put Rocket in.
That is funny. Wow. That's a good way to do a movie.
Yeah. Do you know who Korath is?
No idea.
Okay, yeah. That's the person who confronted Star-Lord in the very beginning of the movie when he pulls the orb out of that thing, and then the guy comes in and he's like, "Oh, you may have heard of me. My name's Star-Lord." And the guy goes, "Who?" You know that guy?
No. What? Wait. What part of...
In the very, very beginning, like right after the hospital scene when he's dancing.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so who is he?
And then his name is Korath.
Okay, yes.
And he shows back up at the end of the movie as well. I think Drax like pulls some wiring out of the side of his head.
Okay.
But the actor who plays him, his name is Jimon Hansu. And in an interview, he explained why he took that role. He said, "I have a son who loves superheroes, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman, all of them. And one day he looked at me and said, 'Dad, I want to be light-skinned so that I could be Spider-Man because Spider-Man has light skin.' And that was a shock."
Wow.
And so he took the role so that he could show his son that superheroes can be black too.
Wow. Beautiful. Where's our black superheroes at, honestly? Or like Asian superheroes?
There's been more of them recently. I will admit, like almost all of the initial Avengers were white people.
Yeah.
But it does get more inclusive as the movies go on.
Good. Jesus.
Gamora in the movie says that she doesn't dance, but Zoe Saldana is actually a professionally trained ballerina.
No way.
Yep.
What? Oh, that's cool. Let's go. Fucking ballerinas. That shit's tough.
This film is the first MCU movie to not have a kissing scene.
Oh, you're right. There wasn't one, huh?
Yeah. Gamora and Peter almost kiss that one time, and then she backs away the last second.
And like almost kills him. Yeah.
But every other Marvel movie up till now has had a kiss in it.
That's funny. I mean, this one had the tension for a kiss, so.
And our last piece of trivia here is the architecture on Xandar is based mainly on the designs of modern Spanish architect Santiago Calatrava.
On Xandar. That's okay.
You know Calatrava.
I'm trying to remember the architecture of that planet, but I don't remember. Very cool.
I know because the most, or maybe not the most recognizable, the one that I can remember right now is I know Calatrava designed the Oculus in New York City, which we went to.
Yes.
But yeah, so apparently all of the architecture on Xandar was like trying to emulate that sort of design.
Very cool. I mean, I can see it. It's like very futuristic.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
There's like a lot of like.
Yeah, I just Googled them, and I definitely, in New York.
Yeah.
That's like one of the most famous ones.
And on Xandar, there's like a lot of like, I know like there's a bridge or something, and you can see like there's a lot of those like very decorative spiky pieces coming out of some buildings, and like,
yeah.
Everything is very directional. Like you can like the architecture sort of conveys motion, even though it's not actually moving.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
if you haven't seen the museum, and well, it's not really a museum, I guess it's a train station in New York.
Yeah, it's a subway station and a mall.
Yeah. Definitely go see those. Must see.
So that is what I've got for Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you have any last minute thoughts or questions or anything?
I don't. I just want to say that I think the character of Groot in general was very well thought out. And he was like, if you think of all the characters in all of these movies, he is kind of like an outlier, which is really cool in my opinion. That was it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then for our audience, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Tell your friends and family about us. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CashFanPod.
Guys,
if you want to send us a message, you can do so on either of those platforms, or you can send an email to casualfanaticpodcast@gmail.com.
Beautiful way to put it. You can always tweet at us if you have other opinions of the movie that we just talked about, or any cool parts that we didn't, talk about, and we'll reply to you.
Yeah.
Go show.
This has been Casual Fanatic. Thanks for listening.